In the name of the Father, and the Son, and the Holy Spirit, one God, Amen. Session 6, the last session. In the previous sessions, we learned a 5-step process for guiding kids to own and solve their problems. Let us review with a fun story. We'll show you.
Now, I mentioned earlier about these 5 steps for guiding kids to own and solve their problems. And those are so powerful, and we're so committed to those because they up the odds that kids are going to grow up to be strong and self-assured. I don't think there's any gift we can give our kids that's greater than the knowledge of knowing that when problems come up, I can handle it. I've got what it takes. And so my wife and I have been very committed to that with our kids. And, you know, first step, the empathy. Second step, hand the problem back. What do you think you're going to do? The next step, would you like to hear some ideas? The next step, give a menu of options, ask them how each will work. And then finally, you send them off with good luck. And you know, my son Cody, by the time he was 3, he heard those so many times they were just coming out of his ears. And one sunny summer afternoon, his mother brought her laptop outside on the patio. And she's going to catch up on some emails as she watches him ride his little bicycle around. But there's a problem. Wireless isn't working very good. She's starting to get frustrated. He notices. He rides over on his little bicycle, and he says to my wife, his mommy, "Oh, Mommy, this is so sad. What are you gonna do?" She said, I was so surprised. I looked at him. I said, "I don't know. What do you think?" And he says, "Some mommies decide to get their bike and run their laptop over with their bike. How will that work?" She says, "I'm not so sure about that. Do you have any other ideas?" And he thought for a while. He says, "Some mommies decide to wait and try it later." Yeah. And then as he's riding away, rocking back and forth on his little training wheels, he turns just a little bit and he says, "Good luck, Mommy. You can do it." And you know, she said that second option actually worked. We don't have to worry when our kids start using these skills on us. We just have to, we just say thank you, because they're going to have a happier and more successful life.
It is fun to see the children learning those skills, applying it, even more importantly, learning about personal responsibilities. So today we will learn steps for getting resistant kids to do chores, what to do if kids refuse or forget them, why chores help kids feel loved and needed. There is tons of research now. What makes the difference between now, majority of kids are studying, majority of kids are putting the effort in school, majority of kids are responding. Or يعني they are a lot of kids are straight A students. They keep researching a lot. What is really the difference? What makes the difference? And the research is always showing kids who are actively doing chores when they are part of the home, the laundry, the washing the dishes, mopping, cleaning, doing whatever. Helping out, fixing stuff, they feel more valued, they feel more connected, they feel more responsible, more belonging as well. As early as 2-3 years old, they can clean up after themselves. They can help. Can you help me out putting the dishes in the dishwasher? So in the next video, Jim gives some practical tips for teaching kids to contribute without needing reminders and without expecting to be paid. Another thing about payment, kids should not be paid for their responsibilities. And if you are doing your homework, you don't get paid for doing your homework. If you are showing up on time in work, nobody is paying you extra bonus. Your boss
We're going to
isn't
talk a
paying
little
you.
bit about Patty Stanley, a lady who stands no taller than this.
They don't. Guys, no gym. They don't do any special recognition for people who are doing their job. They just do their job, they show up. The amount of research stating now, it's very scary research, that above 98% of Gen Z, they don't last. 98% of Gen Z, they complain about they cannot continue working, and they got some videos, a girl crying, they gave me 25 hours of work, mommy, can you believe? And she's sobbing. I cannot believe they are asking me to come to office every day, and they are resigning, and they're so highest rate of firing is Gen Z. Highest rate of them quitting is Gen Z. It's, I don't know if you see this. It is insane. It is insane. And I think this is one of the least things that we as parents want to happen to our kids, that they will be our liability when they are in age of working. Why? Because when you are on your phone and you're on your social media all day long doing nothing, entertainment. This is an entertainment business. You are being on screen for 24 hours or all the time that you are awake. So, and now homework ChatGPT will do test whatever AI tool is going to help. And now they are not thinking, they are not putting the effort. So if there is a need for something very important to put in the life, and our focal point in our raising up the kids will be doing chores, big time. They don't do chores, they don't feel any responsibility, no belonging, I don't care, and it's, I never heard something like this. 2% of a generation, they are doing the job, successful, committed, putting the effort, and 98% they are unsatisfied and they quit or they get fired. It's very, this is unheard of. There is a dire need for the fear of God from a spiritual perspective. في احتياج شديد لمخافة الله في حياتنا, and also there is a dire need for the kids to take responsibilities and to disconnect and to commit. It is not what is the value of a kid who make it to medical school and he cannot work, and in the end he's quitting or she's quitting medical school or quitting their jobs because it's too much of me, I cannot handle. So let us see some practical tips here of teaching how to contribute without, kids contribute without reminder or without expecting to be
From Oregon.
paid.
I met her one day, and she said, my kids live in dread fear that someday I will do one of their chores for them. I said, how did you get that done? And she said, I got big pieces of paper and I taped them to the refrigerator. And every once in a while, when the kids were looking, I went over there and I wrote something on there. And the kids were saying, what are you writing up there? And she said, I'm writing all the jobs that it takes just to keep our family running. And the first job up there was earning the money for the family. And the second one was, driving the car, doing the washing, doing the shopping. She said, I just kept writing. And every once in a while I'd think of another one because I was going to spend 2 weeks writing these down. And pretty soon that list is growing and growing. And pretty soon they said, but why are you writing all that stuff up there? And she said, because someday we're going to have a little family meeting and we're all going to huddle around the refrigerator and we're going to divide up these jobs. And we're going to have your jobs and my jobs. And the jobs that we all hate, we're going to do together. And they didn't think that was so great. And so she kept writing. And then one day she said, now guys, there are jobs that you like me to do for you. Oh, sure, like what? Oh, driving you around, helping you with your hair, helping you with your homework. Why don't you guys just add those to the list? And they did. And one day she said, now, gather around, because we're going to divide up these jobs. And she said, now, who wants to take over this first job, earning the money from the for the family? I'm sick and tired of that job. Well, we're not old enough to do that, and we have to go to school. Oh, okay, I'll write my name up here, because I am proud to put my name up here as the person who earns the money for this family. Now, who's big on driving? Who'd like to take that over? Well, we're not old enough to do. Oh, guess I'm going to have to do that too. Okay. Anybody big on shopping? Well, that's stupid. Oh, I'll put my name up there. And now she's got her name up there about 8 times before they're starting to feel a little legitimate guilt. And so they picked some jobs, some little jobs like doing their beds. And, you know, I don't remember what those little jobs were, but I remember doing their beds was one. And let me caution you right here. Never give the kids the job of feeding the pets. See, we don't let the kids or the pets be responsible for teaching them responsibility. I will give them another one of my jobs so that I have time to feed the pets, because I want to make sure they're fed. And if I am real obsessive compulsive and things have to be just right, I'm going to pick those things for myself, and they can do something else that I'm not so worried about. But finally, they're getting their names up there, and then one of them says, yeah, but what if we don't do our jobs, huh? And she said, well, the jobs have to be done. Well, what does that mean? Well, I guess they said, well, you're the mother. You want these things done. I guess so. I guess I'll have to do the jobs. And that's all she said. No big deal. Well, the first day to take over their jobs was Thursday morning. And their first job, do their beds. But they didn't do their beds, and they went to school. They came home, and they went down to their rooms, and their beds were made just like magic. And then the oldest one said, oh, yeah, we better go see Mom, because she's going to have an attitude about this. So they went down to the kitchen, and there was Mom, as sweet as ever, no attitude whatsoever. In fact, she had warm chocolate chip cookies for them, and not one word about those beds. And they looked at each other. And the next morning was Friday, and they got up and they did not do their beds. And they went to school, and they came home from school, and the beds were made just like magic. And they went down to the kitchen to check out Mom's attitude, and she's still sweet. And today she has warm, hot chocolate for them. And life is good. But then they looked at each other. See? The more things change around here, the more they stay the same. We don't have to listen to our mom about this stuff. And the next day was Saturday. And they got up. And they were running around the house, because this is a great day, because little Samantha, who used to live across the street, has moved across town. And every other Saturday, the moms take turns driving the kids across town so they can play with each other and have play dates together. And they said, "Where's Mom?" And they couldn't find her. One of them ran out in the backyard, no Mom. They went down to the kitchen, no Mom. Yeah, out in front, no Mom. Do you know where they finally found her? The nerve of this woman? In bed. "Mom, what are you doing in bed? It's time to drive. You got to drive us over to Samantha's house." Oh. See what just happened there? You guys laughed. Because that created what psychologists call a predictive schema in your brain that says something neat is going to happen here, right? And the same thing is going to happen with your kids when they constantly hear that same signal all the time. Oh, she said, "I've got some bad news for you guys." "What?" She said, "This is so sad. I used up all my driving time making beds this week. There's no driving time." "Does that mean you're not going to drive us?" "Afraid so." "Yeah, well then you're going to have to drive twice in a row." Oh, nice try. Nice try. "Does that mean you're really not going to? We'll be good. We won't forget next week." "That'll be interesting to see." "Does that mean you're not driving us? Come on, Mom." "Yes." She said, "Please close the door as you leave. Try not to make too much noise. That might drain a lot of energy out of me this morning." And she said, "Now, if they forget to do one of their jobs, they'll come home from school, they'll race down to their rooms, and if the job hasn't been done, you can hear the silence all the way down to the kitchen." And she said, but along the way, they started to say, "We don't like to do those jobs." And she said, finally, we had something we agree on. "Me neither. I hate my jobs too. I'll trade with you. You can do mine, I'll do yours." "Yeah, but we don't like yours." "Yeah, that's hard. Tough to raise, work with a family. I mean, do all the jobs it takes to be a family." How's she doing? Did she ever need to raise her voice? Did she yell? Did she need to make any threats? And question again, did she tell them ahead of time what she was going to do? How many of your friends are constantly warning the kids about what's going to happen if they misbehave? Big, big mistake. But it's a natural mistake because our parents did it with us. That's what a lot of parents do. But love and logic parents say, "No, I'm going to have to do," what's that magic word? "Something. I'll figure that out." Now, we can make this whole thing about chores really complicated, or we can simplify it. Which would you prefer? A little easier to remember? How about if you only had 2 rules to remember about chores? Would that help? Yeah. Okay, you might want to write these down. Rule number 1, future deadline. Never tell a kid to do it right now. Give them a date or a time so far in the future that you have plenty of time to figure out what you're going to do if they don't do it, and plenty of time to plug all the holes in case they don't react the way you want them to. Okay? So future deadline is rule number 1. Rule number 2, never, never, never remind. Tell them once and go to prayer. Please, Lord, we have the possibility of a really significant learning opportunity here. But the problem is I need the courage to keep my mouth shut and not remind them, because if I remind them, it's going to ruin the whole thing. I got to start all over again. So let's hear those rules. Rule number 1, future deadline. Rule 2, never remind. Okay. So let's think about some future deadlines. Would this be one? Just have those jobs done before you go to your soccer game. Would that be a reasonable one? Okay. Now you're going to find some neighbors who say, well, I can't do that because the kid is letting the team down. Really? What if you called up the coach and said, we're having a training session, he may not be here? Be ready for that? Would the coach appreciate that? Sure. Going to tell the kid? How many reminders? Now it's time to go to the soccer game. And he says, huh, Dad, Mom, time to go to the soccer game. Great. Are the jobs done? I'll do them later. Great. When will we drive? Later. No. Now, is that a horrible, mean thing to do to a kid? Do you know people who couldn't do it still? Should we have a moment of silence for them? How about this one? Just have them done before you leave the house on Saturday morning? Reasonable? How about this one? Just have it done by the end of the day? I like that one. Because the end of the day is the end of my day, not the child's day. I really prefer for a kid to be in a sound sleep when I deal with them. Kids who are in a sound sleep, far easier to work with than those who are wide awake, right? So could you just have the dishes out of the dishwasher, into the cupboards, and the trash out to the street by the end of the day? Do it at your leisure, okay? Whenever it's convenient for you. And what am I praying for now? That he does it or doesn't do it? Oh yes, we don't want to waste these opportunities, do we? So now he's sound asleep. What comes first before the consequence, everybody? Empathy. Oh, Jackson, this is such a bummer. What, Dad, I'm sleeping. What is the matter with you? Well, the dishes are still in the dishwasher. The trash didn't go. Oh, I'll do it in the morning. Oh, let's do it now. And we take them to do it right now. And it's, you know, nothing will warm your heart more than to watch a kid going out at the rain at 11 o'clock at night when he could have done it when the sun was shining. But what really warms your heart is the next night when they're getting ready to go to bed and they say really crazy things like, Mom, Dad, anything I forgot to do today? But there's always the possibility that a kid is going to get real snarky and say, I ain't doing it, you can't make me. And what's the answer? No problem. Oh, you guys are good. You guys are sharp. That is good. No problem. I'll take care of it. You know, Dr. Charles Fay, PhD psychologist, president of Love and Logic Institute, heard that when he was 13 years of age. And he'll tell you that he's lived in fear ever since then. I would say, I'll take care of it. Yeah, okay. And that's what we want for your kids, to live in fear that you'll just say, hey, I'll take care of it, no problem. So the next day, instead of fighting with our kids that night, the next day, what are we doing? Hey, Jackson guy, I did those jobs for you last night. Wanted to help out. So here's 3 jobs you can do for me to make up for that time that I spent on that. Now, may or may not do it. But what if he just does not do it? Ooh, not wise, huh? Well, I'm not asking you to do it right now. See, those particular jobs, I think if you have those done by Saturday noon, that'd be soon enough. That give you enough time, Jackson? Thank you. Noon on Saturday. Do I tell him what's going to happen? No. Do I know what's going to happen? No. Okay. Do I have friends who will help me think it through? Yes. Do I have friends who will help me back it up? Yeah. So I go to my friends and I say, what might go wrong? What might go wrong? Do you have any friends who'd love to tell you what's wrong with your thinking? And how does it sound? Yeah, but what's going to happen if he does that and you do this? What are you going to do if it? Yeah, those are all holes to be plugged. And as this story unfolds, you'll figure out all the holes that this particular parent had to plug. Because every single story that you've heard in this program is a true story that we've either watched or lived or was brought to us by people who follow us. Well, just have it done by Saturday. Well, I ain't doing it, you can't make me. Oh, now, I want you to be part of this conversation. Every time I do this, I want you to say, love you too much to argue. Ready? Love you too much to argue. And really drag out that love. Love you too much to argue. I ain't doing it, you can't make me. Love you too much to argue. This is really stupid. Love you too much to argue. So the week goes by. In the meantime, I've gone over to, what is your name right there? Shelley, neighbor kid, right? Hey, you want to make some real money on Saturday? I got 3 jobs for you. I think you can do them in about 3 hours. How about if I give you $25 an hour? Wow. And how about if I give you a bonus? $10. See, it's just 3 jobs. Get the dog poop scooped out of the backyard. It's getting kind of deep out there, but I think you can get that done in an hour. Weed out of the garden. Clean the refrigerator. Think you could do that? Okay, and show up at exactly 12:01? And could you keep it a secret from Jackson? Oh, got a deal. Hey, I'm pretty generous, aren't I? Why? Not my money.
Did you get what he did? So he hired another person, another kid in the neighborhood to do the job for $25 an hour. The whole idea is, what if the kids are rebelling? When they are saying, "Oh, I'm not going to do this." So this job should be done. How we are going to get it done? We are going to, whether I am going to do it or we'll get someone to do it. You get someone to do it, then you will pay this person who is doing it. Who is going to pay? The one who did not do the job. When you are late to your car payment, you don't have option. You pay the car payment afterwards, and you pay the penalty for late fees. You didn't pay your utility bill. You pay it afterwards. I mean, this is life. The idea is, it takes a lot of time to think of ideas how we can make the kids do their chores. But the idea of thinking it through, trying to make it happen, try to tell the kids or take action when they know that we had a nice new machine that makes ice cream in the home now, and the kids were very, very excited. Now they can make ice cream in the home, and they are removing stickers. So I told them, no, don't remove the stickers. So they started wondering why I'm not removing the stickers. I told them, your responsibility is to clean up after yourself. If everything is clean, then this is great. If nothing is happening, and I'm not going to clean it up. But if I clean it up one time, I will pack it and return it back to the place that we got it from. So, and they know that I will do this. It is not, I'm threatening them. I told them, I don't want to return this nice ice cream machine. I don't want to return it. But if you are not taking care of it, then it will be a problem, and I will be doing something about the problem. the kids needs to feel, not to fear, to feel that we are serious and we are going to go through what we are telling them. Not with yelling, not with threatening, not with reminders, as the whole program is saying.
Okay, yeah. Now the whole week goes by, I keep talking to my friends, what might go wrong, what might go wrong, what might go wrong. And so now it's Saturday. Jackson, did you forget to do those jobs? Dad, give it a rest. I said I wasn't going to do it. And what did I say to you? I said I would. Love you too much to argue. I'll take care of it. Add that on, I'll take care of it. I got Shelley to do it for you. Yeah, that's cool. About time we got some help around here. Yes, because I love you too much to argue, and I will take care of it. Okie doke. 3 hours go by. Jackson, Shelley's coming in. She wants you to give her $85. Huh? I'm not giving her any money. You hired her. You gotta pay. I'm not paying her. You gotta. No, I don't know what it meant. Love you too much to argue. I'll take care of it. Now I think she's getting by with it, right? Good or bad? Yeah. Oh, yes. Temporarily, anyway, right? Okay. Well, I pay off Jackson. Now, I could get some closure on this right now, but I could milk it too. Which would be best? Milk it, yeah, okay. So another day goes by. Jackson, before you go to school on Monday, let me know how you're paying me back for Shelley. Dad, I don't know what's the matter. Dad, you need some help. You've got issues. I told you, but love you too much to argue. I'll take care of it. Jackson comes home from school on Monday. Later that evening, Dad, where's my Xbox? Oh, Jackson. This is such a bummer, but I've got it right here. Let me find it. No, that's not it. There it is, there it is. There's the pawn ticket. I had to take that stuff down to the pawn shop to get the money to pay for Shelley. They don't give you hardly anything down there. But I did get $85 out of it. But the good news is it's not gone. Look at the fine print right there.
So you give them the Xbox and they give you, for example, $300. When you have the $300 back, plus interest, you return them back the money, $350, you get your Xbox.
It says, not gone, still yours, 60 days to redeem. Well, that's really stupid. That's what I told the pawnbroker, but he said that's their policy. I don't know. Now, how did he just happen to have an Xbox? See, in this real story, that kid had been out of control for quite a while. In preparation for some of this, because Love and Logic never teaches, hear this if you don't hear anything else, Love and Logic never teaches take things away from kids to discipline them. We don't do that. But we will allow kids to use their possessions to raise money to solve problems that they have created, right? So what she had done is she had bought that Xbox several weeks before that so that he would have something that he really valued that he could use to pay that off, okay? Now, when she went around talking to her friends, one friend said, yeah, but what if that kid gets the idea he can take your stuff to the pawn shop? Isn't it good to have friends that we can bounce this stuff off of? Yeah. So it's a good thing that happened, because in this real story, Mom had to use it. Because Jackson comes back with, oh, fine, well, just fine. Well, I'm going to get some of your stuff taken down to the pawn shop, and I'm getting my Xbox back because I don't have to put up with this stuff. Oh, Jackson, you could do it. Nothing's stopping you. If you can find anything in my room that you paid for, like I paid for the Xbox, I think you're entitled to do that. And if you find things in there that I paid for, it's called what? Stealing, yeah. Now, who handles stealing? Oh, Jackson, now that's what you call a situation, isn't it? Did this parent ever remind? Did this parent ever raise their voice? Can you do the very same thing? Absolutely. Takes a lot of courage. And who does it eventually hurt the most? It usually hurts us more than the kid, right? But if they do not have meaningful contributions to give to the family, and you cannot get that done without a battle, or without a fight, or without reminders, don't you dare ever go to school and accuse a teacher not motivating your child. Because the best teacher in the world cannot motivate a kid who believes that everybody else is going to take care of him and that he lives as an honored guest in this world.
There is a very sad stories in the Coptic community about kids has been raised not taking responsibilities, sucking life out of parents, self-entitled, 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 self-entitled. Then what is happening? They start doing drugs, and now the cycle of drugs is I'm self-entitled, I will take money, I will steal, I will do whatever it takes. And it breaks our heart when you see it is simple stuff that we can learn. It is own ownership to own the responsibility, our responsibility, and courage to push the kids outside of their comfort zone, to own their mistakes, to take full responsibility, to pay back for what they have done. Because by this, we are raising mature kids, responsible, honoring, contributing to the society as well. So 2 rules: you don't tell the kids do it now, give them future due date for the shores, and never remind. But you must go in depth and see, you know what might go wrong, what might go wrong, and you be ready with the consequences or the natural things that happen. Yes, Mike. It is not about forgiveness. Yani, I'm not raising the kids. They will look. Is it extreme? Yes, but the kid who is pushing all the limits. This is yani, and no, this is a path for something called ODD. In School of Psychology, when I was doing my master's, they told us be very cautious to label or to diagnose kids with ODD. What is ODD? Anyone knows? Opposition Defiant Disorder. This is the path of criminal activity. Yani kids who become criminal, they are diagnosed in their schools with ODD. And because they are defiant, they look to you in the eye, they tell you, I will do this, and you are not going to do anything. If we have this issue, I think it is better for me and the kids to call the police for something like this than to wait and call the police for the kids when they are doing drugs and I am filing restraining order against them because they are going out of control. As harsh as it looks, but if the kids are rebelling, extreme problems needs extreme solutions. Tani, extreme problems needs extreme solutions. And we hope that it doesn't get escalated that far. The idea is you always have an option. You always have something to do. I know one of the parents, the kids rebelling for something, and you cannot do anything to me. I paid for my phone. You cannot. They called Verizon. They suspended their line while they are out, while the kids are outside. But they were with friends, and you see how much if you're having your phone and your phone is out of service, this is the worst thing ever to happen to you, especially when you are around people as well. And they were with the friends, and they kept crying, and they don't know what's going on, and they called the parents through a friend that they were with, because definitely you don't want to cut the phone over with the kids when they are alone. You cannot reach them, and they cannot reach you. You need to have a safe environment for them. But it's a step that you say, you know what? There is something that I can do that really will stop this defiant process. Better not to threaten the kids, better not to have a confrontational problem with them. But unfortunately, if you have to go through confrontation head to head, you have to win, otherwise they will be running the show. So again, there is tons of resources, and some of you were not there when I said this. For those who are, I know some of you are owning businesses. The highest rate of people to get fired is Gen Z. Highest people to get to drop their or walk away from their jobs is Gen Z. Self-entitlement, no responsibility, they don't care, mom will pay for me, dad will do this, and it goes on and on and on. This is what we hate, or we don't want our kids to fall in. So if the kids forget or refuse to contribute, let empathy and consequence do the teaching. Don't yell, don't scream.
Now, people often have a lot of questions about chores and or contributions to the family. And what I thought we could do is just dive in a little bit, and I'd bring up some questions that are commonly asked, and I could share some ideas with you. And one of the questions that's often asked is, how early can we start? You know, how early should we start with chores? And as soon as kids can walk. Yeah, that's how early we ought to start with chores. And we do the contributions together. Yeah, we work together. And we have a great time. This is what it looks like. I got the bag of trash. I got my 2-year-old right here. I'm handling it like this. Ooh, I really need your help. Boy, do I ever need your help, man. This is a heavy bag. Let's go. You know, and the kid is just barely pinching the sack as we're walking out there, right? And I'm giving the kid a high five, and I said, oh, man, it's great to work together. Man, I don't know what I'd do without you, man. Give me 5. All right. And the next thing we know, we're out in the yard, and we're picking up pine cones, and we're throwing them in the trash can, and he's getting maybe 1 in there for every 30 that I do, and I'm looking at it and I said, oh man, it is great to have help from you. Thank you so much. This is so much fun. Doesn't it feel great? Or maybe I'm going scooping up dog doo-doo with the kid. I'm like, oh, look at that one. That one's great. Wow, all right, let's get her in there. And we're having a good time together. The goal is to associate in the kid's mind contributions with to the family with love. Pairing those emotions, contributions to the family with love
and there is no payment. And I will be back to the payment thing. If the kids are, the idea of the story of putting all the chores that we do in the home, which is a lot. Yeah, in our family, six members of the family, just the item of laundry. Just try to think of just the laundry for 6 people and the drying for 6 people. And it is a lot. It can take a lot of time, a lot of energy. So listing down the jobs. I will take the laundry for an example. If the mom or the dad are doing the laundry for the 4 or the 5 all the time, what is the message to the kids? You are entitled. You need to do it. I'm not doing anything. I'm playing games. When you finish laundry, mama, and the food is ready, call me. Then we have a problem. So one of the ideas is selecting or having the laundries done by person. So Johnny will do his laundry, and we have a laundry bag for Johnny's. And it is easy. Everything is automated now, and it just needs more organization, more stuff to buy, more tasks to be done. So if Johnny is doing his laundry, he doesn't getting paid for doing his laundry. But if Johnny is doing the laundry for the 6 members of the family, then I will pay him, because he is doing something that no one is wanting to do. So it is, and we had one discussion with my kids when they asked me how much you pay for the guy who is the gardener. I told them, okay, we pay this amount for the gardener. Oh, all this amount of money for the gardener? He's doing nothing. We can do it. Okay. You have a week from now on till next Tuesday when he is coming, and try to do the gardening job. Oh, but it is cold. Oh, but it is hot. Oh, okay. We tried a couple of things. Some of the stuff, the kids, they really picked up and said, you know what, we'll take responsibility for this. And some of the stuff fell apart, and I told the guy my kids are trying to do the gardening. I don't know. I don't think that they will succeed. But so the idea is, kids, you never pay the kids for doing their own chores. Cleaning your own room, it is your responsibility. Doing your own laundry, it is your responsibility. Cleaning up after yourself, after taking dinner, it is your responsibility. But if I'm asking the kid to do my own laundry, I pay them. And they should be paid because they are doing something that it is not their responsibility. The idea that the speaker here is mentioning about doing things together in love is a great
appreciation and happiness.
Great tool.
As the kids get to be about 4 years of age, we can start having them do some things more or less independently. But what's the most important part of this whole piece? Well, maybe we can look at an example from marriage again. I love those. Yeah. And let's say that you're at home and you're going to clean the house, and your spouse is out you're working outside of the home on that day, and so you go through the house, and I'm telling you, you do it up. I mean, you dust, you clean the toilets, you clean the bathtubs, you mop the floors, you vacuum, and you're dusting up high. You even dust the ceiling fans. I mean, you're going at it, and your spouse walks in. You know, and they put something in the microwave real quick, and they look at you and they say, you know, did you know that you missed that little coffee stain in the microwave? Now, how many times is that going to have to happen before you stop wanting to help? Do we ever do that to kids? Too frequently, we train kids not to be part of the family by being overly critical about the things they try to help us with when they're young. Focus most of your attention on their level of effort. Focus most of your attention on what they do well. Another question is, what can they do? What can kids do to make contributions to the family? And to me, it's just about anything. Anything that is safe. Anything that this kid can do safely they ought to be doing. I think the family motto also ought to be, if a kid can do it, a kid should do it. If a kid can do it, a kid should do it. Another question I often get, I get this a lot. People will come to me and say, I'm a perfectionist and I just can't stand it if things aren't right. And my answer to that is, you better get over that quick. You better get over that quick. And do whatever you can to change your thinking about what's most important in life. You might ask yourself every morning when you get up in the morning, what do I want written in my epitaph? What do I want chiseled on my tombstone? Do I want it to read something like this? Martha ran a tight ship. You know, she ran a tight ship, you know, and, you usually felt criticized around here most of the time, but man, the floors were clean and the windows were great, but, and her house was clean. I mean, you could eat off the floor. Or do you want it to read something like, I always felt loved around Mary. I always felt loved around her, and she had expectations for me, but, I always felt loved around Mary. What do you want for your kids? I'm a recovering perfectionist. And, yeah. And the experiment was to leave, leave an empty soda can on the floor mat of my car on the passenger side and leave it there. Yeah. And then go out the next day and see, by looking at the sky, if the earth still seemed to be spinning around the sun. And I did that a couple times, and I'm like, dude, it's still doing it. And then I started adding to the collection. And then I started leaving some things undone at home and then going outside and looking up at the sky and seeing if the earth still spun around the sun. And I realized, dude, it's still doing it. And I realized that I don't have very much power in this earth. That's really good. Because if I did, I'd mess it up really bad. See, there's only one way we get over that is by allowing ourselves to experiment with not having everything perfect and seeing that everything will turn out okay. Yeah, and that's really good for our kids. That's really good. That's a gift that we can give our kids. Now,
so there's an exercise 6.0. I think this exercise in the workbook page 60. I think this is the last exercise. When contribution don't get done, effective versus ineffective consequences. It gives a lot of examples that help. For example, effective consequences meeting the following 5 guidelines. Consequence for kids when they don't do their stuff, it should be logic. It should be provided with love. They are enforceable. I can enforce this. They are preceded and provided with very few words. And when they are over, they are over. So consider the following consequences, which one are effective and which one violate this list of guide. That's it. You didn't do it, you didn't do your chores, you are grounded for, I will take your. Is this effective or ineffective? Ineffective. This is so sad. I would love to take you to Connor's house, but I used up all my driving time doing your chores. Effective. It is so sad. I would love to take you to Connor's house, but I used up, notice, yeah. Another one, but I used up all my driving time doing your contributions. Huh? Now, this is ineffective because now I'm getting back at the kids. I'm not showing love, we are bumping heads. The goal is to keep the relationship, make the kids own their mistakes, solve their problems, be responsible for what they do, and keep the love and the relationship that is healthy. This is such a bummer. I love you too much to fight with you about helping out. That's why I did your contribution. How are you planning to pay me back for that time I spent? Recently, we were having a long drive, and one of the kids started acting up. Then I said, oh, this is a bummer. Then I said, oh, what bummer? I told them, I'm emotionally drained. Please give me your phone. And I took the phone. And Dad, when we are going to get the phone back? I'm emotionally drained, Habibi. I don't know. How can we push your level of the to fill up your emotional well-being or your emotional tank? What is your current score or on the scale of emotional well-being? So I told them, I feel like 23.5 now. Oh, 23.5, how say that? Now it is 15. This is crazy. I'm so sorry, guys. And we kept joking around, we kept playing, and when they really fixed the problem, I gave them their phone because they really did something. So my point is being creative, letting them own their mistakes. You need to have the courage and the gut to fulfill what you are telling them to do. Last example, I sure hope you learned your lesson from last week. Are you going to forget to do your chores again? Ineffective, because this is not a loving relationship. This is an antagonistic relationship. So contribution help kids know that they are important and needed and loved members of the family. When they do chores, the kids are important, because if I didn't do my chores, then no one is going to do it. They are needed, they are loved, and they belong to the family, and it is a very, very important thing. Now we'll have I think there is a very, this story is one of the most powerful
Charles
stories.
was 15 years of age.
This story is one of the most powerful stories you will come across, and you will see the fruit of the love and logic in the life of the kids when they are teenagers, when the price of the mistakes can cost them their life.
I was worried about him. Shirley was worried about him. I talked to my friend, Dr. Foster Klein. I said, I'm worried about Charlie. And he said, why? He said, he's not going to be ready for college. He's just been taking the easiest courses. He's turned off from school. He's just not doing well. He said, yeah, I'm worried about him too, but not for that reason. I'm worried because, he doesn't make enough mistakes. He's only got 3 years left to prepare for that world out there where there's a lot of decisions. And we talked about that, and finally went to Charles and I said, Charles, Mom and I want to be better parents. We need to apologize. Now that'll get a kid anytime. I need to apologize. Say what? Well, I think we've been bossing you around too much. Well, I've been telling you that. That's right. And we're finally hearing the message. We're hearing the song, and we were figuring out you only have 3 more years before you're out into the real world. And he said, Dad, I'm in the real world right now. Oh, let me rephrase that. Only 3 more years until you're in the self-supporting world. Because, see, we had a rule at our house that when you're 18 years of age and you graduate from high school, you can either go to college with whatever support we can afford to give you, or you go out into the real world, and when you're in the real world, you're self-supporting. So I said, we just need to give you a lot more control over your life. And he said, that's what I've been telling you. He said, we've decided that we're going to let you just make every single decision that affects you specifically, and we'll make the decisions that affect us and the rest of the family. He said, what is this? Well, we're just trying to be better parents. Yeah, but what does that mean? Well, do you want to go out tonight? He said, I want to go out every night. I said, well, is that the kind of decision that affects you or affects us? He said, well, if I got my jobs done, it only affects me. Well, then, we think you ought to be making that decision. That's cool. What else? Well, where you go when you go out, does that affect you or affect us? Just me. And who you go with, who does that affect? Just me. Yeah, and if you pick the wrong people to go with and you're in the wrong place at the wrong time and things go wrong, who does that affect? Well, you'd have to come get me out of jail. Oh, no, you'll never have to do that with us, and we don't do that with you. But yes, that is a decision you need to make. And how late you stay out at night, does that affect you or us? No, that only affects me. Well, we think you should be making those decisions. And as long as you're reasonable, we want you to make those kind of decisions. Now, do you want to go out tonight? Yeah, I want to go out tonight. Well, what would be a reasonable time for you to come home? 4 o'clock. Come on, get reasonable. 12, maybe 12. Well, I don't know. Does that give you enough time to do what you want to do? 12:30 be better. Yeah, I think you need to decide, because whose sorry little body has got to drag out of bed tomorrow morning and go to school? Well, just me and I. And then he said what all good American children say, I won't be tired. And we said what all good love and logic parents say, won't it be interesting to find out, right? But the main thing is, we need to know when to start worrying about you. That's why I asked you what time would be reasonable. He said, what does that mean? Well, you know, it's that thing where as long as we think you're going to be here at 12:30, we'll just go to bed and we won't worry about you at all unless it comes to be 12:31. Then we'll start to say, that's a good kid, he's not here, we ought to go out and get some help and so on. So why don't you just give us the names of all your friends you're going to be with and their parents' phone number? Why? Well, if you're not here at 12:31, well, no, we need to get you some help. It's like, 15 to 20 minutes can make a difference between blood transfusion and not. And there's all these canyons around here. There have been people to be down in these canyons for months before anybody finds them. We think that we need to get some help. Well, you wouldn't call my friends' parents. You count on it. We would, because we want to be there to help. So just give us a written itinerary. He said, why the written itinerary? Well, we want to know, what if we need help and we need you? We want to know where to get some help from you. He said, okay, well, that's fine. So good. Now there's one other step. Go into my bedroom. You said you would be here at what time? 12:30? Go into my bedroom and set my alarm clock for 12:30. We'll just go to sleep. We won't worry about it unless that alarm clock goes off. Well, what are you going to do then? Oh, we'll jump up. We'll get dressed. We'll start calling around. We'll get you some help. He said, we better make it 1 o'clock then. Well, whose sorry little body's got to get out of bed in the morning? Now, what do you think you ought to do if you're not going to be here? Oh, I better call you. Good thinking, Charlie. Oh, yeah. Well, we did that. And we got a lot of telephone calls, but they always sound the same. Frantic. Dad, it's almost 12:30. It's almost 1 o'clock. I'm okay. Don't worry about me. I'm going to reset the alarm. Isn't that what we wanted to know in the first place? So we gave away some control, but we got back the really important control, and that is knowing is he safe or not. And this worked pretty good, except the night when he called 4 different times, and I didn't get any sleep. Yeah, and it just so happened he wasn't tired the next morning. And he and his friends were going to go skiing. Dad, did you get up? Dad, you were going to take us skiing this morning. You got to get up. Oh, I'm too tired to drive. I'd be dangerous out on the roads. I don't think I was up a whole bunch of times. Well, Dad, how am I going to get there? I don't know, but we certainly don't want me out on the road. I could be really dangerous, you know. Well, that was kind of a hard day to put up with, but, you know, things got better. And what we noticed was his curfew that he was setting for himself was getting earlier and earlier and earlier, because who was discovering how he felt in the morning? Yeah. Now, a little tip for those of you who set the alarm clock. We always want to set it where the kid has to lean over us to shut it off. A little whiff test on the way in. Okay. Yeah. But things are going good. And then about a year later, he came to me and said, Dad, party in Evergreen Friday night. I said, great. He said, I want to go. And I said, great. He said, it's going to be the best party that Evergreen has ever had. It's going to be over at the country club, and all these people are going to be there, and they're going to do this and this and that. They're great. And he said, and if you'll let me go to that, I'll never go to another party. What are you talking about? Aren't you supposed to make decisions like that? Yeah, but I need the car. Oh, yeah. Well, boy, I'd loan it to you, but we need it. See, the problem was we lived 15 miles south of Evergreen, way up in the mountains there. No other neighbors around within a quarter of a mile, and just one car. Oh, I'd love to loan it to you, but we're going to need it that night. I've got something to do. And then I said, isn't there anybody who would give you a ride to the party? Oh, yeah, Randy, he'd give me a ride. Well, there you go, ride with Randy. Oh, I don't know. I thought it over, and maybe that's not going to be that good a party after all. Wait a minute, Charles. You just said it was the greatest party ever. What's going on? Well, maybe it's not going to. Come on, tell me what it is. And he finally said it. Said, Randy, I didn't want to have to tell you because I know how much you love Randy. But he's starting to drink at those parties, and he's pretty scary when he drives, and he's going to hurt somebody out there, and maybe I better not ride with him. Is that an unusual decision for a 16-year-old? I was so flabbergasted I couldn't even think of any other options, and he didn't go to the party. Well, Saturday morning, I'm talking to Randy's mother, and she's telling me all about that party because Randy went to that party. And he took 5 of his friends with him, and he drove his car. And that's the night that Randy drove all 5 of his friends off the mountain at 80 miles an hour. And he does not make decisions anymore. Wasn't very good at it in the first place. But it wasn't because his mom didn't love him. It wasn't because his mom didn't work really hard. She worked really hard to be a good parent. She just made one crucial mistake. She was teaching him how to make decisions by saying, do it or else. And if you don't do it, I'm going to do this. And if you do, and then when he'd make a decision that was bad, she'd say, see, that really makes me mad. You should have listened to me. So was he developing a little voice in his head that says, I wonder how my next decision is going to affect me? Or was it a voice that said, if I make a bad decision, it'll make my mom really mad? Is that what you want? Well, I want to ask you, could mom be in that car that night in the back seat? Could she be saying, Randy, don't you drink and drive? You know that makes me mad. And Randy, don't you Don't you take all those kids and drive like that, because you know that kind of makes me mad. And Randy, don't you kill all those friends, because you know then I am really going to be mad. Doesn't it sound ludicrous at this point? We can't send Randy back to try it all over again. But what does Randy's mother say? She says to me over and over, you got to tell that story. If there's anybody in your audience who will take it seriously, that their kids need to make a lot of decisions early in life, and we need to have the courage to hold them accountable in such a way that they don't see us by being mean, with empathy first, consequence next, so that kids start to develop a voice in their head that says, I wonder how my next decisions is going to affect me. She said, Randy will not have died in vain. And years went by. And finally, Charles went out to live in the self-supporting world. And he was living from hand to mouth. And he'd call up every once in a while, Dad, these are no-end jobs that I can get out here. Do you think I ought to be in college? And this is one of the hardest things I ever said. No hurry. Don't rush it. You don't have to rush into something like that. And he'd call me back. Don't you think I ought to get into college? Oh, Charlie, you're going to live to be 100 years old. Why rush it? And I would hang up. Then I'd go in the bedroom and cry because I wanted to say, go for it. I'll pay for it. Let's get it done. But I knew it had to be his education. And finally one night he called me up and said, Dad, couldn't wait for you any longer. I went over to the community college and I signed up. But do you know what they said over there? They said I can't even be a community college student unless I take these 2 remedial math courses, and I have to get an A in both of them, or they won't even let me be a community college student. That's kind of bad, isn't it? Well, now he had motivation. And he studied really hard, and he got those A's. Then he got a whole bunch more A's. And before long, he went off to the University of South Carolina. And then before long, lo and behold, graduating from the University of South Carolina. We were so proud to think about that. And then on the day of graduation, Shirley and I were going to drive down, go down to the airport and go down and watch him graduate. And just when we were getting into the car out in the garage, the phone rang in the kitchen. I raced in there to see who it was, and it was Charles, and he said, Dad, you coming to watch me graduate? Oh, wouldn't miss it. Wouldn't miss it for anything. I'm coming. He said, how good is your heart? I said, what do you mean? He said, I didn't know how good your heart was. I thought I might have warned you ahead of time. I'm going to graduate as the top student at the University of South Carolina today, and I didn't know if you could take that or not. And I was so proud, I left my camera right there on the kitchen counter, and I went down there to watch him graduate, and that was before those throwaway cameras. And I got down there, and I thought, I have no way to take his picture. So I'm up in the balcony. I go down to the lip of the balcony. I'm going to watch him come down that aisle. And I say to myself, when they hand him his diploma, I'm going to sear that into my eyelid so I never forget it. And just when he was reaching for the diploma, the guy next to me takes a picture. And I make friends with him right now. I made friends with that guy. And we have that picture. It's in our house. And every time we have to go from the bedroom to the kitchen, we see that picture of him reaching for that diploma. And you know, every single time to this day, the same thing flashes through my mind that flashed through my mind right when that guy took that picture. I heard a voice that said, good Lord, we were only one decision away from not having Charlie anymore. And then I got to thinking, everybody in our audience is only one decision away from not having their kids anymore. And can we be there when they make that fateful decision? Or do we have to pray that we've given them lots and lots of chances to be ready to make those kind of decisions later on. What a wonderful audience you've been. Thanks for letting us share our passion with you.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you.
We hope you enjoyed this as much as we did.
Thank you. Oh, you really helped us today. You gave us a lot of energy.
So it pays back. It pays back when we put the effort, when we think, when we are courageous, when we try to work things out, when we. This story of Randy is an unbelievable story, because, as he said, he was just one decision away from doing the wrong thing and being in the wrong spot with the wrong person who is driving, and this is the end of it. I think our time is over. Any quick questions? No, it's my pleasure that if we can help. What is sad is you see a lot of parents are outside and we are offering this and no one cares, and sometimes it is too late. It is too late because the one who pays the price is the parents. Yeah, we'll try to figure it out, and that's why we recorded. I think we missed the first session. I think the first session is not there online. I'm not sure. So we'll, yeah, with God's grace, the books are there, the resources is there, and hopefully this will be not the last one. Let us pray together. Hear us, O Lord, when we call upon you. Thank you, our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread. Forgive us our trespasses as we forgive those trespass against us. Lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from the evil one, through Christ Jesus our Lord.